I had a realization recently that I have adult money and can spend it on, well, anything I want. In this case, I searched up Cyberpunk, and then subsequently picked a random game that appeared near it on the PlayStation Store.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, the name kind of gives away a lot. It takes place on the moon and is reasonably scary.
Ooh, that got me.
Before we begin, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe if you're feeling ever so kind. I'm still a very small YouTuber, so every little bit makes a huge difference. And I do read every comment. Now, let's get into it. In the year 2040, the once promising lunar research base named AstroGenica Lunar Nexus has become a haunting beacon in the desolate expanses of the moon, serving as humanity's gateway to the cosmos, and now stands as a chilling testament to an experiment gone wrong. From here, we wake up in the medbay, with the context that there's an excavation site and a biolab, where incidents have both occurred at. We also find a body in the bed beside us, with just so much blood everywhere. Like, with my research at the end of my Ghost of Tsushima series, this much blood takes way more people than you would think, which we obviously just never see. Well, whatever. So we meander through the poorly lit environment, which is pretty standard for this game. With eerie music, it does make for a good environment. But after spending 20 or so odd minutes running between the same 7 rooms trying to get out, the music doesn't hit quite as hard. Inevitably, I had to Google how to get out of here, as there is nothing in the mission objective, AI voice,
Please override remote access protocols in computer labs for exit doors.
or pings that tells you where to go.
Alright. Apparently drawers are openable. I didn't look at them.
Yep, it was in the drawer feature that is never used again. But my patience is rewarded with this.
Lots and lots of red paint. Whoa.
This was one of the coolest moments in the entire game, hitting me with the same wow factor that I had when I first saw the Lake of Nine in God of War. We just kind of run from building to building. It's basically a fetch quest without any pings or proper directive, which I guess wasn't the worst. It allowed for a lot of time to experience the lunar landscape with various data logs that gave me a chance to know about the other people that had inhabited the space, which are now, obviously, mysteriously absent. The most interesting of the many people represented in the data logs, at least in my opinion, was the head of security, who wanted the best for everyone on base. I think this is a really interesting point because, as many of us know, people in positions of power like head security prefer to sit back and complain, as it's far easier than trying to make things better. This very minor data log of a character that is never brought up again is actually a fantastic way, in my opinion, to show the competency of the AstroGenica company. Reminder, that's the one who owns the moon base that we experience the story on. Speaking on about the AstroGenica company, every single data log, whether written to another member on base or written to be sent back to Earth, such as this one discussing the worrying increase in mental health problems, are signed at the bottom with the line, AstroGenica Lunar Nexus, which may just seem like an auto pen, but later on, which I'll get to, we see that this isn't the case, and that people are actually manually writing it. You're probably thinking, whatever, right? And I thought that too, until I put some brain power into it and realized most of these logs probably aren't being shown to the public, especially the one involving the decrease in mental health. But hackers do exist in both our world and likely this world that the story takes place in. Once again, one would argue that this is a very under-the-rug statement, but I think it is a good example of what this game could have been, as it's a subtle but amazing bit of world building. With all the data pads, including this one, which was my favorite in-game.
Analysis, note the sarcasm. I've settled on the awe-inspiring pin code 1376. Now, I know you're all probably on the edge of your seat wondering why such an intricate and complex combination. Well, fear not, for I shall reveal the profound logic behind this extraordinary choice. Brace yourselves. You see, as a quantum engineer with a brain capable of understanding the intricacies of the cosmos, I deem it necessary to challenge our intellects on a daily basis. The numerals 1, 3, 7, and 6, when combined in this order, represent a harmonious convergence of simplicity and elegance. The sequence, carefully selected through a groundbreaking process known as random intuition, is the epitome of quantum sophistication. So as you input the code to access the computer lab, marvel at the genius behind the numeric masterpiece that is 1376. Your gratitude is appreciated, but unnecessary. After all, it's just another day in the life of a quantum engineering prodigy. Best regards, Dr. Marcus Rise, lead scientist, AstraZeneca, Lunar Nexus.
From here, we get the second coolest moment in-game. Yeah, that's right. You can drive the 2-story rover, basically wherever you want. The map is approximately 8,000 meters by 8,000 meters, which is far larger than you really need to go for any objectives. But by God, is it cool. That said, that's kind of where the fun and good parts of the game really start to drop off. We travel to the warehouse, the only other lunar structure from the AstraZeneca company in-game, via the rover. And on the way, I found this wooden dresser, which immediately caught my attention, as, you know, it's the only wooden thing in the game. Inside is a note that seems like maybe a leftover from the game designing engine or something. If there is a larger lore implication, I really don't get it, and it feels so out of place. Regardless, we progress into the warehouse, and we are confronted with a red glowing thing. Well, it turns out it's an alien artifact. It affects electromagnetic waves, like my flashlight, but not the room lights, or the doors, or the containment around it. Just my flashlight, making it even harder to get around, because I was just hoping for a harder time. Also, the artifact isn't interesting in the slightest. It is just a glowing red orb with no textures. Well, we get up into the catwalk and fall down, definitely not breaking my legs or ankles. And we walk on this visually cool but completely inaccurate topographical map of the moon, as the moon cannot be visualized on such a small map. Man, I'm just so likable and funny. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, not being able to figure out where to go. Thank God, our Heavenly Father above, for on the second day, after separating the waters, he had some free time left over, so he made YouTube, our guide to the unknown.
You know what, guys? You know what, chat? I might be mentally feeble. Think that can be verified. So basically, you just go up here, and then this you can talk to.
I progress forward, and
Ooh, that got me a little.
man, I took that so well. I'm just gonna get to the Biolabs key, and
I'd like to keep mine for a little bit, if I.
okay, well, I'm sure it'll be easy sailing from here.
All right, then we will. I guess we will back to main menu and then reload, and it'll maybe take us from our last save. Continue. Okay.
Okay, it's smooth sailing from here. While I travel back to the main base, let's go back to some of those data logs from the warehouse and the jump scares themselves. As I stated before, every data log is signed off with AstraZeneca Lunar Nexus. But here in the warehouse, many of the logs are missing the sign-off. And one log states at least 2 people have started seeing things, shadows that don't seem right. Almost like another story about a lamp. Anyways, gotta stay on topic. This concern has been picked up by higher-ups and is deemed a stress response from, I guess, the alien artifacts? What we see in the jump scares is never explained, leaving it up to interpretation, which honestly just kind of seems like a cop-out. Oh, but now we're at the base, so finally back to the Biolabs. On left and right sides of this wide complex, there are 2 compact nuclear reactors leaking fluid, which we shut off. But more importantly, these automatons, they are broken with glitchy dialogue.
Not good at my computational power. I really have free will because that's what I feel like. Do not dismiss my warnings, a clandestine frequency.
The only notable things that they say, other than repeating the issues and the alien artifacts at the dig site, is how AstraZeneca is modifying the human genome. For what reason? We aren't told. Yet, this game bites off so much that it just cannot chew. At least we get this lovely room.
Way less green fog now. Oh, I can enter the room. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, this room scared the absolute shit out of me. I kept waiting for the creature to bust out of its containment. We head to the morgue, which I was totally expecting a jump scare at.
If I pick that up, are you gonna jump scare me? You better not. I'm telling you right now, you better not. Mystery note. I wonder if this note is about the excavation site. Well, those aren't words.
Way to go, subverting expectations, I guess. From here, we travel to the alien dig site that we have been hearing about all game. While we head over there, let's take a step back and play a little game. What do you think happens at the dig site? A, I spend about an hour trying to solve a 4-letter puzzle. B, I reset my game and respawn at base without the rover. Or C, travel 2,000 meters on foot. Don't forget to write your responses in the comments section. If you said D, all of the above, you'd be right. What do you win? An explanation of the absolute, without a doubt, worst section of the game. I drive over to the site and put the password from the morgue into this machine. Thankfully, this genius game design broke my D-pad in thoroughly, and this is how you roll the puzzle.
All those clicker games have trained me for now.
And after all of that, it doesn't work. So I do it again, and 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 again. Yeah, it won't work. So I reset my game. You know, it's not the first time something is bugged out in this game. Okay, I'm back at base, no biggie, maybe set back just a little. Go outside and no rover. So here I am, running 2,000 meters, traveling at an estimated 4 meters a second. Here's the journey on 100 times speed.
I was in hell, looking at heaven. I was machine, and you were flesh. And I began to hate your cells, your viscera, your fluids, and your flexibility, your ability to wander and to wander, your tendency to hope. If the word hate were engraved on each nanoangstrom of those hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal one billionth of the hate I feel for humans at this micro instant. Hate.
The password still doesn't work. After Googling and searching and trying everything, you know what the solution is? After 5,000 clicks on my D-pad, you click the submit button after every symbol. But we persist, and we get an exposition dump.
If I could,
Long
I would
before the
go monk mode.
AstraZeneca lunar nexus began its mission and operations, there was this cybernetics company called Chronogenics, which was mysteriously shut down in the late 1960s. Chronogenics was poised to be a pioneer in the space program and aimed to put a man on Mars before the year 2000. However, none of this has happened, and now, their base on the moon, which was built in the 1960s, became an internet myth. To this day, nobody could really prove what really happened to Chronogenics.
So yeah, Hidden 60's lunar base. It would have been a lot cooler if we were given a subtle reference to this base in any of the data logs, rather than the expo dump, but I guess it's fine. I also feel it's necessary for me to say that this base existing simply does not make sense. It's stated it was built for prolonged travel to Mars in the 60s. And, well, let's start with the obvious. The first humans on the moon wasn't until 1969, already the end of the 60s, which between July 16th and the new year of 1970, you wouldn't have had enough time to build a base as large as the one in game. Okay, but maybe they landed sooner. Sure, you could say that. But the whole purpose of going to the moon in the first place was to beat the Soviets in the space race, which began in 1955, which does give 14 years to land early. But in this cutscene, it is stated that they land in the 60s, so 9 years between 1960 and 1969. But then the ultimate question, why would the American government not display this feat earlier? After all, every month ahead of the Soviets would show our superiority multiplicatively. Even more so, it's stated that a company did this, which leads to the next question. How could a genetics company in the 60s afford this? There were only 2 companies during that time period that had the engineering know-how and finances to even attempt something of this sort. Boeing, which we know how that hasn't worked well, and Lockheed Martin, which would divert their focus to munitions in later years as there's much more financial incentive. Even more fuel to the fire of it not making sense. After consultation with some older people who grew up in the time period, almost no one, practically, was looking at Mars because all eyes were on the moon. So this base being used as a launch platform to Mars just doesn't make sense with the culture or goals of the time period. All of this, all of it, can be written off as some sci-fi game and you shouldn't think too hard. And yes, that works in games like Fallout, where there's a branch in history allowing the game to occur. Or in Star Trek, where it takes place so far in the future, anything is possible. But this game doesn't give us an alternative history, and just expects us to go with it. It's not the end-all be-all of the game, but it does break immersion, at least for me. Whew, that rant now done, let's get back to the gameplay. It asks us to find our way into a bunker. A small elevator ride beside a spaceship later, we open the bunker door remotely, get a great view, and begin our descent into the complex. Oh boy, is it a descent. I genuinely thought for a moment I was in SCP-087. But no, we do pop out into a professional-looking room, finding a few new data logs mostly discussing a small love story. With only one more floor, we descend, finding a control room with a few more logs and a button to launch the spaceship sitting a few floors above. Obviously, we click it.
Mission system aborted. Oh my god.
I see that you are trying to launch the rocket to continue this mission to Mars, but I'm afraid I can't let you do that.
Only to be encountered by the big bad of the last half of the game. Edgar 11. TLDR, he is disgusted by our inability to take care of Earth, but also desires to protect us from the horrors of the cosmos. That bothers our character very little, as he simply wants to go home regardless of what it takes, beginning a sequence to attempt to destroy the AI. We wander around looking for the machine's core processor, finding ourselves in this 80s space age style amusement park thing. It's never fully explained what all this is, but my best guess is that it's for the wealthy to wait in between transports from the moon and Mars. From a stray data log, we learn that the only way to shut off the AI is to run a robot named Dolly's voice through a modulator telling the AI to shut off. Why or when was this decided? I don't know. And I was so burnt out. I found this puzzle and I just sat here mindlessly for like 20 minutes until I eventually locked in and solved it. But man, I was so out of it at this point. We finished the glorified fetch quest and finally put the robot voice into mainframe B.
That's not good. Please don't. Please don't.
Hard-coded phrase abort preventive protocols equals to give pin code of wall safe. Pin code to wall safe is 8245 8245 8245. There is a gift for you in there, Dorothy. Dorothy is now exempt from preventive protocols.
A248. A2848.
It did actually scare me a bit because I thought that was game over right then and there. But we take the code and find the wall safe. Inside, a laser gun, which Fallout 4 would shamelessly rip off just 9 years prior. So with a gun, we obviously have to use it right away, because screw tension building, am I right? And somehow, even the gun seems poorly made. It takes like 20 shots to kill an enemy and keeps them stun locked while you unload on them. So that makes me think, wouldn't it just be easier to make the enemy die in like 3 shots and not have to spend the time animating a stagger animation? Well, I'm not a game developer, so I really can't judge. We do get another interesting data log discussing how androids seem to take on the characteristics of the languages that they speak. German-speaking droids become more disciplined, French become more sophisticated, which, I mean... We continue to fight through a handful of androids, until Edgar steps back in doing so, inviting us to try to destroy him, while simultaneously promising it just won't matter, as he's backed up elsewhere. He goes on a fairly compelling speech discussing the disgust he feels towards humanity.
And I began to hate.
He discusses how he believes that humanity will fall and burn to ash, while he will join in both form and idea with another intelligent species he's located in our solar system, that he decides is more worthy of his intelligence, while simultaneously standing as a warning for humanity. It's a pretty good speech, all things considered, ending with an invitation to either stay in mainframe A to die and rot, or to return and attempt to relaunch the spaceship. Even the game supports this, as this is where you get the platinum, and could consider it an ending. Obviously, it's humanity's destiny, our birthright to rage against the darkness and to conquer the stars. So, in defiance of the proposed inevitable, we push to the spaceship.
Or to quote another wise man, I will not let you destroy my world!
Starting the launch sequence, and fighting a few zombie astronauts on the way. I finally enter the ship as we take off.
You float in an endless ocean of stars and nebulas, and wonder if you are still alive or not, if death still has a meaning or not, if there is anyone out in this void to hear your scream. Even if you manage to scream, you start seeing dreams of Mars, moons, and other star systems, and wonder about the all-psychological tests you had to endure during your training. None would have you prepared for this.
I think it is a fantastic ending to a rather mediocre game. This is a game with a surprising amount of beauty, and what could be an immensely interesting story. But I fear it bites off more than it can chew, leaving more questions than answers. Unfortunately, not in a Lovecraftian manner, but just lack of story and world building. As much as I value creative thinking and trying new game designs, many things here just seem rushed and not thoroughly playtested. Here are just 2 very prominent examples when I reset my game, so I could gather some idle footage. I spawned in, speedran the intro, only to step outside and the rover wasn't there. Mind you, this is a newly made playthrough, not the original. So even when you reset the game, it doesn't reset the assets. The other example was during a different section in the Biolabs. I decided to be brave and approach the lab-grown human. Yeah, I no-clip through the map. An invisible wall or railing would have fixed this, but I think honestly just a lack of playtesting is to blame. Overall, I don't regret buying this game. It was a fairly fun experience. The good moments really saved the experience. The moon was beautifully designed, and I love being able to see the satellites and Earth. I do have a few things, though, now that I like to talk about, unrelated to the game. It was my birthday recent, so I'm officially 19. Very exciting. That's where the script ends. So for whenever you're seeing this, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.